Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this live stream. I'm really pleased to welcome you to our session about Jamboard today. I'm also very fortunate to be joined by with Annabel Rodger. Hello, Annabel. How are you?
Morning. All good.
Good. Nice to see a few people welcoming each other and sharing your Twitter handles in the chat. That's really lovely to see. And only one interesting fact, Annabel, and that was from you about being left-handed. So,
I don't know if it's very interesting, but there you go.
My interesting fact for the morning, vexillography is the study of flags. So if anyone's looking for something to do in lockdown, maybe become a vexillologist. Yeah, that's how you'd say that. So in today's session, we're going to look at Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard is a collaborative whiteboard space, and I think it's super simple to use. And I think simplicity is its real strength. So if you're looking for something that's going to have loads of features and loads of bells and whistles, Google Jamboard probably isn't going to be for you at the moment. But if we're looking for something where we can get young people sharing ideas and working together to kind of plan and get creative things together, then I think Google Jamboard will be really good. So nice to see a couple of other people joining us as well in the chat. That's lovely. So I think we'll get straight underway then with the demonstration. So how this is going to work is I'm going to kick off with showing us some of the features, just kind of take us through a nice slow and steady session. So you can by all means have the kind of live stream on in the background and go along on another tab and just kind of listen in. I'll try and talk through what I'm doing as I do it, so you can kind of work at the same pace, or you're welcome just to kind of sit and watch and see what happens. And the video will be available for you to watch afterwards again, if that's what you want to do. So there's two options there. Once I've kind of shown you the features in Jamboard, I'll show you how you can share your Jamboards with learners in Google Classroom, because that's, I guess, the important bit, because you might have made a Jamboard you want them to add to, or you might want to create a Jamboard that they could all work on at the same time or in small groups. So I'll kind of show you those three different options. And then Annabel's got some Jamboards that she's made up, so we can have a look at some of her work. And Annabel's also using the Jamboard app. So the Jamboard app has a little bit extra functionality on it. So you can just have a look at how that works and how you can get that on either your iOS kind of Apple phone or iPad, or if you've got an Android device, you can download it on your mobile phone or tablet. And hopefully it will also soon be available on the SLC touchscreen Chromebooks as well. So, you know, no promises there, but I think that would be something that would be really useful for people who've got those devices. I realise I've just said something and I never checked that, so no promises. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Annabel, we'll come back to you later. Thanks very much for joining us. So hopefully everyone can see my screen now, and I'm just in Google Drive. So Google Drive is where we've got everything stored. So to create ourselves our Jamboard, just going up to the new option here, and in the more section, I've got this option here to create a Google Jamboard. And when I do that, it takes me straight in to a untitled new Jamboard. So I can access it through Google Drive. Another way to create a new Jamboard is if I go up and create myself a new tab, I can go to jamboard.google.com, and you can see it auto-fills for me. So when I go to the Google Jamboard launch page, I get some options here. So I'll just run you through the options that are available. So what's displayed in this tiled view is my most recent jams that I've been using. So I'm on a demonstration account here. So you can see all these jams have been either shared with me or mocked up this morning. I have an option here, so I can, it says owned by anyone. So at the moment it's showing all the jams. So as a teacher, if I'm assigning Jamboards out to children, I could end up with having lots and lots of Jamboards, and potentially Jamboards that have all got quite similar names. Even though Google Classroom will add the learner's name to it, I might just want to filter down and just see the Jamboards that are owned by my account, or I might want to filter down and see the Jamboards that are owned by other people. So they're ones that are not owned by me. So I'll just go back to the owned by anyone option for now. I have the option to be able to refresh this view. So if someone shares a Jamboard with me and it hasn't appeared, I can hit refresh. I can have some different kind of sort options. So by default, it's sorted by the last modified date. I can have it when it was last modified by me or last opened by me. And I've also got the option to sort by the Jamboard name as well, the document title. If I don't like this kind of preview grid view that I've got, I can also go to list view, grid view, and row view. So row view just gives me a view across all of the Jamboards and the different frames that they have. And if I've got a link to be able to open a jam, I can copy it into that space there. So to start with, I'm just going to create myself a new jam. So to create a new jam, in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got this option that says new jam, and just a case of tapping on that, and it takes a few seconds to load you in to a new jam. If you've got any questions as I go along, feel free to drop them in the chat. I know Annabel's sat there looking at the chat while I'm presenting, so she can answer, or if it's something that would benefit from a demonstration, then I'll try and bring it on the screen and show you. So Jamboard has loaded up here, and this is my brand new untitled jam. So this is us in the software. So one of the things I guess is also interesting to mention is that Jamboard has, as well as the app version and the browser edition that we're looking at here, there's also a physical Jamboard. So that's a 55-inch big giant touchscreen, and it's got a ratio of 3:2. So the space that you see here, this white space, which is my jamming space, that's fixed. So I can't change the dimensions of that because it's set up to be able to work on these Jamboards. If you're in a school and you've got something like a C-Touch or a Promethean board, then you could use Jamboard on that kind of touch interface as well, and that does work really nicely. So I started making a Jamboard earlier, actually, so I will open it up. This is my demo Jamboard here. So just a single click to get you into a Jamboard from that Launchpad screen, and just a couple of seconds for it to launch in. So just running through some of our tools at the top here, then I've got the name of the Jamboard, I've got my frames here, and I'll come back to that, and then I've got some management options up here, and then, as I've already explained, the ability to open it on a Jamboard if you had that. So undo, redo. So if you do something you don't want me to do it, you can undo your work and redo. So that's hopefully pretty familiar for everyone. I've got the option to be able to zoom in on my Jamboard as well. So I can click on the magnifying glass and then zoom in on a particular element. And then if I've zoomed in too much, the little arrow next to it, I can just select to kind of fit to page or a different size. And there's also some shortcut keys there as well, if you want to be able to do that a bit more quickly. Okay, so that's zooming in and out. Now, what's really nice is you get a series of backgrounds, and so you can change what the frame looks like. And there's not a huge selection, but I have got them all set up already. So you can have a dots background. I don't know if anyone ever used to play that game when they were at school, where you used to draw all the dots, and then you'd sit with a friend with a pen, and you'd draw lines on the dots. Just like I'm doing here, but I'm not winning, so I'll come back to that. You've also got a squares background. We've got the option to, oh, is it called paddocks? Is that what the game's called? Padlocks? Paddocks? Oh, I'm not sure. We've got this kind of grey graph paper background available to use as well. A lined rule page, a blue background, and also a chalkboard background. So that is the extent of all your backgrounds, but hopefully there's something there for everybody. If I'm working on a frame, so I can change what the background looks like even if I've started using it. So I'll keep this as a plain plain white background. I've also got the option to clear the frame. So if I start doing something and actually decide it's not what I want it to look like, I can hit clear frame and everything disappears. I've now realized that I didn't mean to clear that frame because that obviously had everything on it. So I'm just going to undo that there, and everything comes back. Okay, so let's head down and look at the features that we've got on the left-hand side here. So we've got a pen option. So if I go back to my dots and I've selected my pen option, and when you go into pens, you've got 4 choices to choose from. You can have a pen, a marker, a highlighter, and a brush. So hopefully pick a pen, and I'll pick a colour blue. Now hopefully when I draw my dots here, oh there we go. I think I was clicked on mouse earlier, maybe hadn't clicked on pen, so I can draw my dots like this. I should really bring Annabel back on, couldn't I? We could have a quick game and everyone could watch. Let's have a plain background. So you can use the pen tool just to write. So I even find writing with a mouse isn't too awful. You can debate, maybe it is awful. But if you're on a touch device, so I'm thinking children on their mobile phones, Jamboard will work in the browser on their phone, or they can download the app. If they're writing with their fingers, then you will find the touch writing much better than using a mouse on a computer. Marker pen is slightly thicker. So there's me just writing hi. If I want to highlight something, which I guess is quite good, you can the more you do it, the darker it gets. So I've now highlighted over my writing. If you just do a kind of sweep across, that might work quite well. And then you've also got a paintbrush as well. I tried drawing something, but my drawing is awful. I should have practiced drawing a fish or something, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's still awful. So that's your different pen options, and your color palette is really limited to 6 colors. So you're not going to be doing anything super fancy in terms of art and drawing, but enough colors there to be able to get some ideas down. Option for eraser, just literally grab that and you can rub things out. So if I go back to my first screen here, I've got this select option here. So this is what people sometimes forget to do if you want to kind of grab an image. So I've got an image in here already, which I saved from Google Slides. So by using the select tool, I can select the options. And then when I've selected options, I, for instance, can resize them. I can rotate them. So I can put that back to like that. And I also have this ability by clicking on the More button. So the More button is the 3 dots you find in the top right-hand corner of anything on the Jamboard. The option to duplicate, so make a copy of something, or delete it. So I'll just hit duplicate there. Now I've got 2 promotional slides, so I can delete one of those. So I just deleted that by pressing the delete button on my keyboard, but I could have gone to the More button again and selected the delete option. Okay. So I'm going to go back up to the top here, and at the top I've got the expand frame bar. So I showed you all these frames earlier. I'm going to create myself a new frame by clicking on this plus button. And actually I've decided I want this second frame where it's inserted to be my first frame. So I can just drag my frames around to change the order. And I'm going to make this a nice welcome frame. So one of the cool ideas for getting people to share and collaborate together is using sticky notes. So if I just hit welcome, a big frame, then I'll cancel that. And then I can make this nice and big. So you'll notice when I hit the sticky note button and press save, it automatically gives me the option to start writing a second sticky note and then a third sticky note. And it places them in a kind of order around what it can see on the page. So if I was a teacher wanting to, for instance, put an idea in the middle where I've got my welcome, young people could then contribute, and you could ask them to all use kind of different coloured stickies, and that's a nice way of getting ideas. In terms of your stickies, again, we've got the same options as we had with our images. So I've got the ability to be able to rotate, select and move, because I've got my select tool selected here. I can duplicate it, I can delete it, and I've also got the option to edit it if I've made a typo if I want to change it. And then I can resize as well. So if you're wanting to start building ideas up, I think the sticky note functionality in this is really powerful and really, really useful. Okay, that's fine for my welcome slide. Let's get another new frame open here. So one of the options I've got is this add image option. So if I go into the add image option, this should hopefully feel pretty familiar to what you will have seen in your other G Suite products. So the option to be able to upload an image. So if I select a file from my device on my desktop here, I've got, for instance, an image of a worksheet that I just found on Google this morning. So I have this option to be able to drop in a worksheet and resize it. I could then ask learners to use the pen or the brush tool to write their answers on, or if they don't want to write, they could use a sticky note and drop sticky notes onto a worksheet or around the worksheet as well. So if you've got worksheets that are currently made as PDFs, Annabel will show us how to drop different types of drive content in using the app, but you can save anything as a JPEG image file. There's plenty of converters on the internet, so you can then upload your images that way by using your image tool. So one of the last things on this features selection down here is just a laser pointer. So this is something you would use, I would imagine, if you were live teaching. So at the moment in South Lanarkshire, we're doing asynchronous learning, so we're not doing any presentations of live teaching. But if you were maybe doing a recorded video and you were talking through the work you wanted done on a Jamboard, you might use the laser pointer just to kind of highlight things as you're speaking and recording it, so that the young person can see what you're working in. So make sure you put the date up here, name in here. So laser pointer may have a use for that. Okay, so in terms of the features, I think it's taken me 5 to 10 minutes to run through all the features that we have available. I'd spoken a little bit about the management of the Jamboard options up here. So I'll just come back up and say, this is where I can see all my frames, and I can move through my frames, and then I can collapse the frame bar back up. With my More Actions button up here in the top right-hand corner, so that's the 3 dots stacked on top of each other, I have the option to be able to rename my Jamboard. I can download the whole Jamboard as a PDF. So if children have made some work and it's really good, you can download it as a PDF to be able to email it to someone, for example, if you don't want to share the Jamboard with them. You can save a frame as an image. So, for example, I use this option quite a lot in Google Slides. So the promotional picture for this YouTube stream, I've made that in Google Slides, and I've downloaded the frame as an image. So children might want to do the same there. You also have the option to be able to remove your Jamboard, stick it in the bin, or make a copy. So sometimes you might get so far with the project, make a copy and then share it with someone. So the 2 things down here which are all worth pointing out is you've got updates. So Jamboard is continually being updated. And so if you click on updates here, your little help section comes up with all the most recent updates. You can see up until September 2019, there have been quite a few updates. I'm sure the kind of teams at the moment are working on other projects, but with all G Suite products, they're looking at the feedback that comes in, how to make it better. So talking of feedback, go to the More Actions button and click on Send Feedback. If, for instance, there's a feature missing that you think would be really useful, or something doesn't work as you're expecting it to work, then I would always encourage you to send feedback. And I know the Google for Education team read every piece of feedback that is submitted to them. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to make any immediate changes, but everything is analysed and considered, so that's really important to know. So then just to look at the share button then. So to be able to share the Jamboard, say with a colleague, going up to the sharing settings. So this is the new sharing box. So across all the G Suite products, the share box looks like this now. In the top right-hand corner, you've got a settings cog. So this is my sharing settings. So when I share with people, at the moment, editors can change permission and share it with other people. So I might want to share it with someone, and I might want them to be able to make changes to it, but I might not want them to then share it onto other people. So I can untick that box, and viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print and copy. So if I had something on there, for instance, that I didn't want them to be able to download, print or copy, maybe for copyright reasons, then I have the option there to have some granular control over what they can do with the content. So if I wanted to share it with someone, so I've got a demo account, I can just type in the email address, and then I have the option about whether I notify them, what type of access they have, so they're a viewer or an editor, and it tells me what Jamboard I'm sharing with them. So this is my demo one Jamboard. And if I do notify them, I have the option to include a message as well. So, oh, that was meant to be a smiley face. If you are in Chrome, you can right click and drop an emoji in, or if you're on a Chromebook, that's a 2-finger tap. And then we can send that. Just popping back into my sharing box, which I found in the top right-hand corner. This just lets me see who I have got the Jamboard shared with. And if I've changed my mind about someone's access, I can change them to a viewer, or I can give them temporary access. So that's for a fixed period of time, and I can pick when the access expires. So that's really useful if we're just on a kind of short working project. And I also have the option to be able to remove them as well. If they're in, so I've made changes, so changes are pending. So if I save my changes and go back in, I also have the option to be able to make somebody else the owner. So the reason I didn't have that a second ago was because I've made a change and hadn't saved it. So you can make someone the owner if you want to hand them the Jamboard. And I can also turn on this setting down here. So I'm using a Academy for Excellence kind of demonstration account here, but you would have your own organization. And if you click here, you can then have a link that you can share. And if I copy that link, I could put that in an email to someone, and I can change who can access that link. So I can be restricted to just people who I want to have access to the link. So I can physically type in their email address or their G Suite account. I can restrict it to everyone within the organization. So if you're in Glow, that would be across your local authority, or I can open up that anyone with a link can access it. So if I'm working with people who aren't on my domain, then they can still access it there. And then you just hit done. And that's the sharing settings done. And I said in the more actions button up here, you've got the ability to make multiple copies of Jamboards. Excellent. So that is all the features, quite an extensive talk through of all the different elements. I'm going to now take you into Google Classroom. So I've got a Jamboard demo classroom, and I've got 3 students in it. So I'm just going to go into it here. And I'm going to set the Jamboard up as an assignment. So going into classwork, go to create and then to assignment. So this is a demo Jamboard. So I can give the assignment a name. And then when I go to the add option here, I want to go down to Google Drive. And in my recent options, because I've been working on my Jamboards today, I can see them nice and clearly there. If I can't find my Jamboards there, go into your Google Drive and find where your Jamboard has been saved and add it that way. So assignment 1 is something I set up earlier. So I'm going to add that Jamboard there. Okay. So by default, when I add a file to an assignment, students can view the file. I've got 2 other options I can select. Students can edit the file and make a copy for each student. So if students can edit the file, that means everyone is going to be able to edit the same Jamboard. So I'm doing a collaborative task, which I want everyone to be able to jump on. Students can edit the file, will be absolutely fine. One thing to note is Jamboard can handle a maximum of 60 users on one Jamboard at a time. So if you've got a big year group classroom, I wouldn't suggest doing that. But also I found when you've got lots of people on a Jamboard, it can also get a bit messy and a bit confusing. So you might want to kind of restrict it down a bit. So if I've made a Jamboard and I want them to have a copy for each student, for instance, this is about story ideas, then they'll each get their own copy. And then just as you typically would for all your usual classroom settings, is it marked or unmarked? Is there a due date? Are you giving it a topic? And then I can hit assign. So I've shown you there how to assign a Jamboard that people can view, assign a Jamboard that everyone can edit, or assign a Jamboard where you're making a copy for each student. The other option is if I want them to work in small groups on a Jamboard, if I go back into create assignment, and I'll just call this demo 2, add a Google Drive file. I can share this demo 1.
All right, first you'll have to unlock your device.
Because I said Google, my phone is now talking back to me. Thought I had somebody else in the room. So what I've done, she's opening Google Drive for me. It's very helpful. Okay, so what I've done here is I've added a Jamboard, and I can change it to students can edit the file. Instead of assigning it to all the students, what I can do is I can assign it to a couple of students. So for instance, demo student 1 and myself, and I can say group 1, assign. So now only 2 children or 3 children, however many people you put in that group, can have access to it. So if I do that again, create the assignment. Add my Google Drive content. Students can edit that file, and then just select the students in that group. And I would label my assignment title with that as well, so it's easy to identify. And then if a student was to go into their Google Classroom, they'd be able to see in their stream the assignments, and they'd be able to go and then work on the Jamboard from there. So I think in terms of demonstrating what the features are of Jamboard and kind of the management of Jamboard, I think that's all there. So I will now bring Annabel back into the stream. Hello, Annabel.
Hello there.
How's it all going?
Yeah, not so bad. That was pretty thorough.
Good, thank you. I tried my best to kind of walk through everything. So I think you've got some kind of demo Jamboards, and just a little bit talk about how you've used Jamboard, and then some of the kind of assistive technologies that are available when you're using a touchscreen device and on the app. I see Karen has joined us, and she said that all of the recordings from these sessions will be on the new South Lanarkshire Council Staff Learning Centre. So if people are wanting to be able to kind of watch again, you can either find them on the channel here. I guess a good opportunity for me to go subscribe if you're watching, and the other option is to be able to access them through the Learning Centre. So Annabel, are you you ready for me to bring your screen on?
Hand over and I will share my screen. There we go. Okay.
And just mind if you've got any kind of questions, then by all means drop them into the chat. Okay, so I'm going to bring your screen on then.
Great.
And it's all yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I use Jamboard, and I'm using the Jamboard app today. Now, I've got a touchscreen Chromebook, so I'm using it on my Chromebook, but you can use it on an Android device or an iOS device. So that could be a phone or a tablet or a touchscreen Chromebook or laptop, but you would need to have it installed. Right, so there's some things that you can do on the app that you can't do on the web-based version. I'll show you that at the end, but first I'll give you a wee tour of some of the ways that I've used Jamboard. So I've got some simple ones, first of all. This is a Jamboard where I've just put something up, and it's for reflection. So the children have been asked to read something, and then they've just to add their ideas for the question by adding a wee sticky note. So they've got their ideas up, and they just do that as Ian showed you by just going into the plus and doing insert sticky note, and it just goes straight to typing up a sticky note. So that's a really simple way to use it, just for getting feedback. And it's like using sticky notes in the classroom, really. But I've also set up some different activities here. So let's have a look at the shape board. Now I've created some shapes. I've actually made these ones using Equatio, which is a Chrome extension, but you could just draw them in using your drawing tool. So I've got some shapes, and then I have dropped in the names for the shapes by putting them onto a clear, oops, I've got my drawing tool on, I always do that, by putting them onto a clear post-it note so that you've got a little transferable label over here, so you can move it around and you can drop it onto where you want it. You could actually drop it onto the shape rather than underneath it. Just creates a little interactive activity for them. So you could use that with very young children, obviously, and you can use that with the mouse, you can use it with a pointer. I've got a stylus, but I've also got a touchpad here, and I find I go between both. So that's just a wee shapeboard activity. At the moment, we're working on a novel study, so I've got a few novel study tasks up here. So this one here is a research board, and this is an example of something that you could set the children off to do, just to come up with some research about it. Now, our story is set with an evacuee during World War II, so this was great. I was able to just go into here, and if you do an image search, it then uses Google to search for images.
Annabel. So we've got a super blurry screen at the moment.
Oh no.
So I'm just taking your screen out and back in.
Okay, that's cool.
We might want to try, if you want to stop sharing and then just try resharing it again.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I wonder if it's the internet connection is just
struggling slightly.
Yeah.
Right. I'll reboot it. Let's try it again. Okay. Sharing screen.
Okay. And I'll
see if that comes up.
Bring your screen in and we can see what that looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much better. So I don't know if you just want to go back a frame because it's just blurry during the frame.
Just that particular board. Okay. Right. Okay. So we'll go back into my research.
I'm really sorry, Annabel.
For this one,
I lost the sound just as the Jamboard opened. We lost the sound, but I think you're back now. But you might just want to.
You're back. Does the sound okay?
The sound is okay.
Still here? Okay, right. We'll carry on. Let me know if there's any more problems. Okay, so oh, it's gone blurry again, hasn't it? I can see that. Hang on. Just being tricky today. Settings here. Confusing it.
So we'll just see if we can get your screen back on.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll stop and start again. Slight technical issues. You can edit all this out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apologies, people.
Okay, so if you've got your screen set up, I think I'll take us both out and just put your screen in, and we'll see.
Let's try that. See if the bandwidth works.
We'll see what happens. Okay.
Okay.
All good.
Looking better. Looks nice from here. Okay, see how that loads. Okay, right, I'm going to go for it. So, as I was saying, this was nice and easy to make up, and the children could do this for themselves quite easily. Because Google Search is fully integrated, you can just go in, and this one I had just looked for World War II evacuees, and it instantly comes up with a nice image search, finds me the right kind of things, and these should all be free to use images as well, so you don't need to worry about copyright, which is quite useful. So it comes up with images, and you can then create a board quite quickly. So you can see I started putting images together, and then I've actually decided I want to sort them out. So once I've done my search, I've then split them up into boards. So if I go back to my board, I've done my official information posters here, and then I've moved all my images onto the next page. And then I thought, actually, I want to do a bit of research about the author. So I started to do that as well. Okay, so it's just a nice quick way if you're doing an image search and you wanted to do a really visual piece of work. it's a nice way to do it. And a little bit easier, I think, than doing it in slides. It's just the functionality is a bit quicker. And if you're doing it on a touch device, it's definitely simpler. So I've created a couple of lessons on here as well. So this is a task to do with the illustrations, just asking the kids to dump some sticky notes on the picture. And they could also draw onto it. They could put arrows onto that, annotate it, whatever they wanted to do. And they could add further pictures as well. Then I've made a little adjective search task here. So I've got a PDF picture that I've taken of the, I think it's actually a JPEG, sorry, that I've taken of the text, and then I've put it up, and I had it originally as part of a task. So this is my task that I've added here. So if you go in, you can do drive content when you're on the app, and it will bring up all the things that you've got saved in your drive, and then you can drop that in. This was originally something that was part of a Google Classroom task, so I've put that into there. And then on this board, they can annotate it. So here it goes. It opens up your drive, brings up your shared drives and so on. You can choose items from here, and then you can drop that onto the Jamboard. When you open it on Jamboard, I'll just go back in. So if I double click on it, you'll see that it flashes, and then you can pull out different parts of the document, one page at a time, which is really helpful. So I'm going to take these off because I don't need another copy, but I'd originally done that. And I've put one page on here and shown the kids what to do, and then I've asked them how to do it, asked them to do it themselves on the next page. So that's just a nice little interactive lesson that they could do on a touch device. And as Ian said, a lot of children have more access to tablets and phones than they do to computers these days. So it could be a more appropriate way to work, especially during home learning. This task, I've used some slides that I had. So I've got, this task was originally a PDF document, and I have snipped it using a snipping tool and created it into different images. And then I made that into a set of slides. But actually, it's still quite a lesson that the kids need to have a bit of initiative. So I thought this would make it more navigable. I was able to put extra instructions in here, and it's maybe a bit more interactive. So particularly for primary level children, this could be more help. So this first slide, I've made my sort of instruction slide. So this week, you're going to follow the instructions about word choice in your story. And here's the 3 pages that they're going to have a look at. And I'm going to use my laser pointer to show you what I'm talking about. So here I've got my post-it note, and then it says on the following pages you're going to complete the task. So it's got the example here of the 3 sheets, and then if I click at the top here, it takes me onto the first slide where I've blown it up. All they've got to do is draw lines to connect the word with the meaning. So they could go over here, they can select the drawing tools, and they could click red, for example. I want a nice chunky pen. So a length of rope or materials used to hit me. Oh, okay. So there's my picture. So I can do my complete that task on there. And then on the next slide, it's got 2 stages. So I've used color coding, you can see. So I've got read the instructions is all in pink. Now complete the table. Last add your ideas. So by having 3 different colors, I've got 3 different stages on that sheet. And then on my last page, they've got to add their own sentences. So I've asked them to do it on a sticky note, and they just go in, click sticky note, and that's nice and simple for them to do. So it's a way you can make a little interactive touchscreen lesson for them, which actually during working from home is much more accessible for a lot of them. And then this was an idea for making a little journal for themselves. They could just do a little picture journal. Particularly for younger kids, this is really accessible. Or if you need adults to support it for nursery or younger children, or P1 to 3 children, you might want them to support. So this is just some pictures that I've dropped in from my device. And because I'm doing it on a touchscreen device, you're perhaps more likely to have a camera. So you can do add from camera. You can take a picture. You can pop a picture in, or you can even record videos. So there we go. I can add my camera. And if I want to add in a picture of me delivering a talk over YouTube, for instance, if that's something you're doing, there we go. Take a picture, come out, pop it back in here. And then you can add that from your image library. There we go. So it just needs permissions to do that. And then you can drop things in so that you can do it direct from your device, which is really...
With streaming at the same time, Annabel. I think that's really cool. I was thinking it's like, oh, multiple cameras happening here. That's going to be tough.
Yes, it's very excited. It's gone all loopy. Okay.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, right. Okay, so that would be quite a fun little activity if you just wanted people to collect images from what they're doing. Oh, it doesn't want to open Jamboard for me now. It's lost it. There we go. Right, okay. Hang on a minute.
Oh, it seems when Annabel closed, she dropped everything out of the stream. So I'm sure she'll be back with us in a second. But one of the tips I really liked there from Annabel was when she clicked on her sticky note here. So I used my select tool to select the sticky note. She used the more option here to edit it. And then she had a none for the background color. So if you're looking for just a text box, use a sticky note and then stick no background on, and you've just got text there that you can move around. So I think that's really, really nice. And the other great thing that she showed us on the app was the ability to be able to pull an image out of a slides or a doc, so anything you've got in your Google Drive, and you'll be able to then get children to annotate their work around it. So I think that's really cool. So that was a good bit of filling from me there, and I'm delighted to say Annabel is back in the stream. So welcome back.
I had too many tabs and I hit the wrong one. It's my fault.
So there's a great tip there. If you're ever streaming and you're worried you're going to accidentally close your tab, you can right-click on tabs and you can pin your tab, which just makes it super small at the front here, and then you can't close it by mistake.
See, that would be clever. I think I hit a link on the page and then navigated to something else.
And then it all went, didn't it? So if you reshare your screen, we can just pick up for kind of that.
Yes, please. We'll pop over it. I can show you assistive tools.
The assistive drawing tools are really cool.
That's the fun bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. Okay, it's all yours.
Right, okay, there we go. So I've made myself a new Jamboard, and this is just to show you what you can have fun with. Now, I haven't really had time to sit and play with assistive drawing tools on my Chromebook before, so I did this last night, and it works particularly well when you've got a stylus, I find. So it's only on the Android app that you can really play with this to its full potential. If you've got the iOS app, you get assistive writing and assistive shapes, but you don't get the draw, which I think is the really fun bit. So to show you what I've done here, I've done this all with assistive tools. So I'll just use my laser pointer. This part here, the writing, I wrote that freehand and then it's turned it into type. Then I've got shape that I've drawn here. That's been redrawn for me because it wasn't very neat. And then all these pretty pictures in the middle here, that I've used the assistive drawing. So if I open up a new slide and I can do a quick demo for you, let's hope this all goes smoothly. I'm not doing well with my technical issues this morning, but I'm sure I've got it fixed now. Right, okay, so here we go. I'm choosing assistive drawing tools at the bottom, and because I'm on the Android app, because I'm on a touchscreen Chromebook, I've got three options. So I've got text, shapes, and I've got drawing. So I'm going to pick up text first of all. So I'm just going to write hello. There we go. So first of all, it thought I was doing something else, so I can go in and take that out. No, don't want that. There we go, delete that. Okay, so it's picked up my writing and it's quite accurate, but if I realize that wasn't what I wanted, what you can do, which is very handy, is you can strike through things. So I'll just show you again. It's easier to do it over again, I think. So if I start writing and then I go, actually, I don't want to say all of that. I'll just take out there. There you go. You just put a line through it and it cuts it, which is very handy. So you can do quick writing like that. When it comes to shapes, when I was making my little shape tile, I could have done that all by hand. So if I do a bit of drawing over here, there we go. It's picked up a star. And there's my circle, and here's a triangle, and here's a square. Now you can see kids could play with this endlessly. I think this is really good fun. You could do all sorts of things. That's great. So this is geometric shapes it's picking up. But the really fun bit comes in when you start doing drawing. So if I pop onto a fresh slide over here, and I'm going to change colors just to make it a bit more interesting. And Ian was trying to draw a fish this morning. So let's help Ian out by drawing a really nice fish. So here's a fish. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. So I've got a whole choice of fishes. Or if I change my mind to go out to yes,
Even
star.
Even your drawing effort is better than my effort. Like on a touch screen.
That's because I'm a primary school teacher.
Yeah.
I have extra practice.
Specialist in everything, primary teachers. But yeah, that also
especially drawing.
So brilliant.
And AutoDraw is also, you can access it as a website. And I've had the kids play with that before. It's really good fun. But AutoDraw is really clever. Like that, it can work out that I'm trying to draw a spruce tree, which you wouldn't have guessed. There you go. So yeah, you can have lots of fun with this. So if you don't have a touchscreen Android device and you want to play with the assistive drawing, you can go to AutoDraw and then you can play with it on that web page. And you can do that on any device as long as you've got a way of manipulating it. So doing it by mouse, it doesn't really matter that it doesn't look great because it will redraw it for you, which is really helpful. So do we love heart on the end here, shall we? No, it's got a hand-drawn style love heart. Or I discovered if you do a love heart, it also opens up all these fancy flowers, which is much nicer. So we can have one of them instead. So yeah, AutoDraw you could get quite carried away with, I think, but it's really good fun. And I think for young kids as well, it's really satisfying. And you can manipulate what you've got, and you can colour it in. You can move things about. You can decide you want to create a little picture. It's lots of lovely flexibility there. Okay.
Great. Is that all the features that you were going to show us? I think that was.
There's one more.
One more. Okay.
I forgot about stickers.
Oh, stickers on the app. Yeah, they're very cool.
Stickers on the app. So you go to the plus on the app, and at the bottom it has stickers, and then you can add things. Like you can go in and you can go, oh, I really like that. You can have or you could mark. You could do your marking with some ticks and some crosses. But the stickers is really nice. I think it's particularly good for going in and looking at a group task, and you can then add things in. So things you really like, and you've also got little stickers, so you could have a speech bubble. Let's have that one. There we go.
Yeah, I think stickers for if you've got a group of children all working together on something and they want to kind of show that they think an idea is a good idea, being able to drop different types of stickers on is a really good idea. Your screen has gone a little bit blurry actually, so I've dropped out. I'll bring my screen in and just zoom in down here on the different tools that are available. So the Android app, which is available on mobile phones and does work with your Glow account, that can be used on any personal devices, and then iOS once again works with the Glow account as well. Not quite as many tools, and then the web version is the lightest of all three. But my strong suggestion is if somebody's starting with something and they start with the web version and just kind of getting a Jamboard assigned to a class, then that's a really nice way to begin. I don't know if anyone's got any questions or anything. I see Karen has said that she loves AutoDraw, so that's good. And we're obviously really keen to take feedback from today's live stream. So there's a little bit.ly there, bit.ly/stream1505. Hopefully the kind of YouTube streams are helpful and kind of helping people with this, working from home and us then supporting learning at home. We've got some stories of change coming up, streaming on YouTube starting on Wednesday evening, hopefully between now and the end of term. So whether you're primary or secondary, we've got colleagues from both sectors telling just the impact they've had in terms of introducing digital learning into their school. And I guess the focus on that is what's happening before this kind of COVID-19 lockdown. So it will hopefully give you some ideas for when we return to school at some point, how, especially if we're going to some kind of blended learning situation, how you might be able to move your digital strategy forward in your school. I'm also hoping to get kind of work through or a talk through on Google Sheets in the coming weeks, and also the Chrome Music Lab. Now, the Chrome Music Lab is a great space for making music with, suitable for primary and secondary colleagues, so and their learners. So I'm really looking forward to introducing that as well. Annabel, anything else left for you to add, or any kind of key?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think with Jamboard, it really is a case of going in and having a bit of a play and just tweaking it to how you want to use it. Because even in the last couple of weeks, the way that I use it has really changed, and trying to make things more interactive for the kids and more collaborative, and really, really accessible online. But I think given that a lot of younger learners have touch devices, there's huge potential with it.
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. The power for Jamboard here is its simplicity, its work across multiple devices, and it will work in a browser on a mobile phone for a child at home. And I think that is that's really, really good. And it's nice to see that we've got Heather in the chat here, and Heather will hopefully be presenting the Chrome Music Lab session. So I'm taking that as an agreement that she's going to do that. So hopefully that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Brilliant. Well, please do give us some feedback, and if you've got suggestions on other live streams you'd like to see, then we'd really like to see them. Karen's already said all the live streams are available to watch again on the SLC Staff Learning Centre, along with lots of other digital support, as well as resources that will help staff when we're working through this learning at home period. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I think we'll just say bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Annabel. That was brilliant.
Cheers.